Good morning. This is Mary Freed. I'm so glad that you're with me here this morning with Scott in the beautiful Conejo Valley Botanic Garden. We're going to be doing a tour this morning, and you're thinking, it's fall. There's not going to be any spring blooms, but you're going to be surprised. There's going to be some beautiful things blooming, and it's fun when we're thinking of feeding our birds and our butterflies and our native plants what's out here. That's what we're going to see today. So, welcome. Let's get started. We're in one of our most beautiful parts of the garden, and here's our new entrance. But this is an oak forest, and we are so lucky in Thousand Oaks to have so many different varieties of oak trees. We have our beautiful valley oaks that we're famous for, but if you really want to get into oxygen production, you need to have one of these beautiful canyon live oaks that will be producing oxygen year-round for you and your family. So come on in. This will show you some of our specialty gardens that we're going to be visiting today, and our kids' adventure garden, which sadly is closed, and I had to cancel all of my spring school and scout and community trips due to COVID. But here we are, mid-October of 2020, and it's just amazing how the garden has thrived and done well without most of us. But we have a lot of people who come daily. They walk their dogs, they bring their kids. It's a wonderful place to come. We're going to head up to what we call the old entrance and just come along and enjoy the forest. Yeah, because it's just gorgeous. It's beautiful. This is one of the things that I want you to consider. When we go out hiking, we always are running into what we call chaparral. And this is one of our ceanothus things that's nicest for home gardens, because the Yankee Point, this wild lilac, will stay at about 2 to 3 feet, and it makes a lovely ground cover for slopes and things. But the ceanothus has a beautiful purple-blue bloom in the springtime, and it keeps this glossy dark green all the time. So it's a wonderful thing, wonderful addition to any home garden. It's another one of our wonderful plants that does well in a home garden. This is fairy duster. Hummingbirds will come to it, bees will come to it, and it has this lovely open foliage, again, dark green, glossy leaves, and you see some very pretty blooms and some little berries afterwards. Fairy duster is just lovely. This is the most wonderful stand of California manzanita that we have here in the garden. We have some other specimens, but this has just been growing for years and years and years, and it's a nice low mounding. Some manzanitas will get tall, but they're very slow growing. And again, this is fall, beautiful dark green leaf, and they have the most beautiful little flowers. It's like a little white bell or whitish pinkish bell that hangs down and develop into delicious fruit. They're evidently a favorite food of coyotes. I don't know how anybody knows that, but I read that in a book. This is our wonderful toyon. Toyon, if you like birds in your yard, if you want to attract birds, toyon is a wonderful shrub to plant for birds. It gets about 10 to 15 feet high, and it has a glossy green leaf all year long, but birds like to nest in it, they like to hide in it, but the berries that come in the fall, a beautiful orange or reddish berry, but we in the Conejo Valley Botanic Garden have two that actually have yellow berries. And I can see it, but you probably can't. There's one little bunch of yellow berries in the middle. So you can also find a cultivar with yellow berries. The thing about Toyon, when you're out shopping, you'll always know it has this little saw-toothed edge of the leaf. Very distinctive. You'll always find that, but it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to have in your garden for the birds. We're in one of our loveliest groves of the canyon live oak. And the thing I want to say again, I talked a little bit before about oxygen. We love our valley oaks, but they only produce oxygen for the 6 months a year or so that they're holding leaves. But the canyon live oaks, they drop they drop a few leaves every day, but they produce oxygen year-round, and it takes 2 of these mature oaks to provide enough oxygen for the year for me, for one person. 2 of these mature oaks. So we need to start thinking in Thousand Oaks of planting a lot more of our canyon live oaks, keeping us all oxygenated. So if we're famous for anything here at the Conejo Valley Botanic Garden, it's our Matilaha Poppy Festival every spring. People come from all over. And this is what Matilaha poppies look like in the fall and the winter. Not too terrific, but in the springtime, they're going to open those magnificent flowers that look like a fried egg, white petals and a big yellow center. They're just gorgeous. But I want to talk to you a little bit about, look at what this is like, because I planted Matilaha poppies in my yard maybe 5 times, and they all died until I took a good look. It's a little slope, a little bit of a hillside if you have one, and that's what they're going to love. So if you get us a Matilaha poppy from us this next spring, look for a spot to plant, and plant several. And of course, that little plot will grow and get bigger because they self-seed. So Matilaha poppies are a gorgeous thing to have in your yard. Okay, I wanted to show you this part of the garden. This is one of our newest areas we planted, and I actually dug in a few of these rosemaries. I wanted to talk to you about rosemary. Everybody loves rosemary. When I'm cooking chicken, I'm always out clipping rosemary, but I want you to think about putting it in the part of your garden that you're growing your vegetables in, because these gorgeous blooms, beautiful blue blooms, I particularly want you to notice this gorgeous dark blue color. The Lockwood de Forest is just beautiful. And also the tall upright lavender comes in so many shapes and sizes, but it will bring the bees early to your garden. I have an early nectarine. It blooms before anything else in town, and so the bees are just thick, and they come and they pollinate everything because these things will bring them to your early spring garden. It's just wonderful to have lavender in with your vegetables. I also wanted to talk to you about honeysuckle. Isn't this a gorgeous droopy thing? But look at, it's got berries this time of year. Honeysuckle, it's just amazing. So I know we have a lot of cat lovers in the club, and another gorgeous dark green, very low ground cover is cat mint. It's beautiful. Look at it, gorgeous. And it has one little bloom that Scott's going to show you, so you see a beautiful purple bloom in the spring, but sometimes it blooms in the fall. Well, I want to talk to you about sages and salvias. You know, there's like 150 different sages and salvias. A lot of them here in the garden. We don't have time to get into all of that, except that they're wonderful in home yards. And I wanted to show you my very favorite. This is rose leaf sage, and it has the most beautiful bloom. And some of the sages are kind of straight, upright growth, but this one has a more lovely, open It's just elegant. I love the rose leaf sage. My other favorite is the Andean sage, and it has a very, very dark, it also has a nice open growth, and its flower is like deep purple to black. It's very unusual. We do have a specimen here. I want to just show you some of the non-native things that we have in this immediate area. So this is our natal coral tree. It's not a native, but that's one of the things the Botanic Garden does, is it brings specimens from all over the world, and this particular beauty is from South Africa. So here's one of our beauties from South America, from Chile. It's called a matin, and I love it because it has that weeping willow look. The reason this one has a haircut is we have so many tall guys who work in the garden, they just kind of give it a flat top. But in your yard, you wouldn't have to do that. You could let it drip and pretend it was a willow tree that would grow really well in our drought conditions. Behind me is our nursery. We have volunteers who work here a couple of mornings a week, and they're still, I believe, selling plants on Wednesday mornings. Don't quote me. But again, this is where we do most of our propagation. We propagate from seed, we propagate from cuttings. The guys dig up small things that are growing in the wrong place, and we sell them to you. So check it out and see if they're still open on Wednesday mornings. So this is a non-native. It's actually a native of the Gulf Coast area. It's the passion fruit vine, but so many landscapers started putting passion fruit vine into our yards in the 50s and 60s here in Thousand Oaks, that it does really well, and it has that most gorgeous big flower, beautiful big flower, and a yellow fruit, which, as I tell people, it's edible. It's just not really delicious. But come on in and we're going to see, this is the only host for the Gulf fritillary butterfly, which we grow lots of Gulf fritillary butterflies here in the garden. So in the garden, we have several stands of tropical milkweed. We also have native milkweeds in other areas for our monarch butterflies that come through, and the gorgeous plumbago. The freeway bush, you know this blue, it grows all over Southern California and needs very little water. And the other cute thing is, if you need a little decoration in your hair, they're sticky. You just stick them on and there you go. A little added beauty when you're out in the garden. So let's look at some of our butterflies that come to the garden. So many of you who have redone your yards have loved the look of a strawberry tree because of its gorgeous reddish bark and the beautiful shape of its limbs. We have some in bloom here, and it'll have a nice little berry, kind of an orangish red. Another thing I tell people, you can eat it. It's just not going to be very yummy. Welcome to the bird garden. You just saw a shot of some of our year-round birds. We have a lot of birders who come to the garden. They tend to come early in the morning. I have seen so many things. My favorite are the western bluebirds that you'll see down on the far side. They're just beautiful. I love them. But this garden attracts a lot of birds because we have a little fake waterfall that you can hear behind me. But these three gorgeous big trees here are the California native walnut. And I picked up a couple of walnut shells. I'm going to put one down so Scott can get a close-up later. You're going to see how tiny the little pieces of nut meat were, not like our English walnuts that we all know and love. So the native walnut was an important food source for the indigenous people who lived here for so long in the Conejo Valley. Okay, so we're taking a look at everything that's here in the bird garden, and I'm going to talk loud because of the waterfall behind me. So you're seeing another of the big beautiful walnut trees. You're seeing another one of this beautiful little gazebo here holds our native California grape, and it is gorgeous. It's the red robin variety, and it has a beautiful purple grape. Now, there are seeds in them, but the birds and I love them equally. I have one at home, but the best part about it, besides that you can eat it, is that in the fall, the leaves go this most gorgeous crimson and scarlet. It's just absolutely beautiful. So it's a gorgeous accent for your yard. We also have fairy duster here, and we have coral bells. I want to caution you about the meadow rue that you see growing here in abundance. Meadow rue, some people have very adverse allergic reactions to getting meadow rue on their skin, so it's a caution. We're going to go up and have some coffee this morning. There's coffee berry up here. Okay, so as you come up, you're going to see the California buckwheat, which is just gorgeous. We've got our cigar plant, and the hummingbirds are going to absolutely love this. Here's our coffee berry. Now, you know, I've been cautioned that you don't do a lot, but when I'm in the garden and the coffee berries are still on the bush, I'll have one, and it does taste a lot like coffee as I just walk on my morning rounds. But coffee berry is a very nice shrub. So is the cigar plant. When you see the buckwheat around here, it's not the kind of buckwheat we make pancakes out of, but it's something that covers the hillsides all over Conejo Valley. It's a nice plant. Okay, so we have a beautiful stand of germander sage right here. It is this gorgeous, brilliant blue-purple, and it looks absolutely amazing in a large ground cover. Also, we have a huge stand of California fuchsia all along here. Beautiful. The bees and the hummingbirds are going to be coming. We also have some of our larger penstemons here that have finished their bloom. Some more fairy duster. But this is just a beautiful area. And I want to talk to you about Texas Ranger. It doesn't sound really native, but it blooms twice a year here, and it always looks fabulous. So I probably wouldn't have thought that scarlet, orangey red, and purple looked gorgeous together, but they do. So we've got our California fuchsia just absolutely full of bees, also the Texas Ranger, and this gorgeous tree behind them. We have several specimens. It's an Australian willow and does really well. Nice drought-tolerant tree with a little weepy structure. We're going to go see some of our few penstemons that are still in bloom. Well, this is one of my favorite penstemons. It looks to me like a foothill penstemon, this gorgeous deep purple. We have most of the other penstemons in this area have finished blooming a long time ago, but here we are, mid-October, and it's still doing its best. And while we were up above, there was a hummingbird down here, just so happy, and she'll be happy when we leave. So here we are at the beginning of the Rare Fruit Orchard. It was planted many years ago by the Rare Fruit Club here in Thousand Oaks. And here we have our most amazing, if you don't know white sapote, you were thought I was picking up roadkill here on the road, but it is the best fruit This one's not the best. Here's some more that are smashed. The squirrels eat them up. But when I'm with kids, I say, oh, look, boys and girls, it's the baseball tree. Because, you know, this is baseball season. Go Dodgers. But it's the most delicious fruit. So this white sapote, again, is something rare for us, a fruit that comes in the fall and the early winter, and is a most amazing. It's sort of got a custardy texture. You can see inside from what's on the ground beside me, it's kind of a yellowish. Inside it's sweet, it's delicious. But we're going to visit some of the other things that the rare fruit growers have planted in this garden. So this is one of our more unusual trees. This is a quince, and a quince is something that we don't eat raw. You have to cook it to eat it. And even the squirrels must have decided that, because I'm going to show you one from the ground that the squirrel took a bite out of. He took a few chews. Leave it there, I got it close up. And he left the rest. Now, that's not something a hungry squirrel will ever do. Yeah, that's right. So we have a lot of citrus, we have avocado, we have guava, we have fig, we have several citrus, we have some cherries, we have another cherimoya, and we actually have an English walnut up at the top of the hill. And this was all put in years ago by the Rare Fruit Grower Club in Thousand Oaks. We've got carob, we've got fig, we've got a cherry, we've got a citrus, we've got some more citrus up there, and with the big walnut up at the top. So it's an amazing variety of things that just growing out here on the hillside. The squirrels love it. Well, here we are almost near the top by two of my most beloved of the live oak, the grandmothers, the great-grandmothers of this garden. They were here long before any of us were, trust me. So do come and visit us at the garden. If you need an address, it's 400 West Gainsborough Road in Thousand Oaks. You'll see a driveway to turn down. It turns into a big parking lot. We've got a kids' adventure garden. And someday we'll open that kids' adventure garden again. But this upper botanic garden is open every day of the year unless it rains. When it's raining, we ask you not to come and muddy up the trails. Or there's fire smoke in the air. You need to evacuate. Those are the only two times we don't want you in the garden. But otherwise, come and enjoy, have a great time in the out of doors. You can teach if you have kids, they'll learn so much just by comparing leaf shapes and flower shapes. Bring a paper and pencil and do some sketching. Bring a big piece of paper and do some wonderful artwork. Be outside in the fresh air. We want you here. Come and visit.